In the world of music, the only thing that truly matters is the connections you can make with other people, nothing else. So, when it comes to enjoying things like seeing how our songs make other people feel, we really enjoy that. We love it. When it comes to sharing our stories and our thoughts and our emotions through our music, that feels fantastic. It's great. Those connections are meaningful. When it comes to people becoming fans at our live shows because they enjoy what we can do, they see our talents in person, and they can become a lifelong fan, and that connection is amazing. But there's one connection that we might be overlooking that can really rocket your career to the next level and really take you to where you want to go. Are you giving credit to the right people in the right way? Let's have a think on that. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's episode. And today we're going to talk about giving credit and kudos and whatever you want to call it, and making sure that the people around you that are helping you, that are making the music you make possible and sharing with the world, make sure that they get what they deserve. And there's many reasons for this, but I've got a whole list we'll go through. We're going to talk about the whys, we're going to talk about the whos, we're going to talk about the where and whens. We're going to break it all down. So let's get right into it. A great reason why, and we're going to go into 3 reasons why. A great reason that we want to talk about why we're going to do this is a very selfish reason, but it's the number one reason that you need to know, and one that you're going to be heavily invested in because it's about you and your career, and that is exponential growth. And the reason that we can say exponential growth for giving credit is that when it comes to building your career, moving forward, and making those next steps that I'm just a beginner, I'm starting to see success, those big move forward that you can feel in a career comes from many things, but a huge part of it is those people around you start to find reasons to lift you up, and that can really lead to huge breakthroughs. And we're just talking about the people, like the team around you built to say just produce your music, if you're giving them credit, if you're making sure that they're being acknowledged and they're bringing in more work and they're getting better jobs and better clientele, getting more money for the jobs they do, then of course they're going to have more to give back to you to grow your career, to make a better sound for you. Just that in itself can be a huge win in your career. And then if there's other people around you that you've been trying to build up and that they start taking steps forward and you've been giving them credit and you've been making sure that, you're top of mind for them as they're reaching out to do things, if they start getting bigger shows, if they start breaking out because you've done the right thing, because you've given credit, they're going to start reaching out and giving you credit. They're going to find a way to have you open up for their shows if you're in the same genre that would work. They're going to find a way to include you, maybe a collaboration in another song. It can really make a big difference in your career. And if you're not doing these steps, if you're not going out of your way to give credit to the people around you, and they're not sharing that, and it's not getting out in the world that way, that's a real fast way to put a stop on your career. It's a great way to go nowhere fast. And that's just the gist of it. So if you need any other reason why you should be giving credit at every turn in every way, that should be a big one right there. A next one is going to be community growth, straightforward. And for mostly the same reasons. If you're trying to build something music-wise and get out there and put your name out there and build something as a career and make money at this, you need a community of musicians doing the exact same thing. Nobody's going to go out and see the local show if it's just one person, here and there, hit and miss. But if there is a community of you, and it doesn't matter where you are, this does exist. If there's a community of you out there making music, helping each other, talking good about each other, finding reasons to be on the same bill, finding reasons to play the same show, finding the reason to do open mics together, finding reasons to, anything at all, to make sure there's a constant flow of music, it really starts to push your career forward because you have something, you have the opportunity to put your music out there, have people hear what you're doing, that want to hear live music, that want to go to shows and see more live music. that want to buy merch because they want to support the local bands because everybody else is wearing the t-shirts that the local bands around. If you don't see why a community is such a big thing, then I can't tell you what else. I mean, it's just such a huge thing to have positive minded people around you, people moving in the same direction, wanting to see the same success for others around them. And not to mention, it's also a great way to kind of weed out, in every music community, in every community, it doesn't matter what it is, there's always going to be those gatekeepers, those people that want to talk the trash, those people that want to climb over others, climb over the bodies of the others to get to the top. And the more that you have a positive community, the more that you have a community that grew from within for all the right reasons, those people really start to stand out like a sore thumb. And it becomes easier to identify who's in this for the right reasons and who's in this just to make themselves look better and get on to bigger, better things and screw everybody else. There's just another great reason. The third great reason, of course, comes down to just respect and acknowledgement. And I guarantee you, whoever you are, wherever you're at right now, you can reference some point in your life when you helped somebody out or you did something that you normally wouldn't have. You went out of your way to do something for somebody and they didn't give you any recognition or thanks. And even though sometimes we do a lot of those things and we don't expect it, it can really have a negative effect. It can give us that feeling that I don't want to do this again, or it's fine, whatever happens from this point forward. But if you take the antithesis of that and go to the other side, we all have examples in our heads of times when somebody did give you that credit. Somebody went out of their way to say, I couldn't have achieved this without you because you made the difference or you added to making this happen. And you want to go out of your way from that point forward to find a way to make that happen, or you want to do it for somebody else. It really breeds this want and this need to do the same for others. And, that's a fantastic reason just to give that. But we all, at some point, we want that acknowledgement of what we're doing is meaning something. And this is a way to pass that along. And it can be just the littlest thing, but it can make the most difference. Always keep that in mind. So those are some great reasons why. There's many, many more, least of which is just it's the right thing to do. But moving on, let's talk about who. Who do we want to be giving credit to? And the answer to this should be very simple. Anybody that's not you that was part of the project. Anybody that is not yourself that made it possible. And how you do that is up to you. It's going to be different for every situation. It's going to be different for each person and for what they did or how they contributed. But you should always be looking for the ways that you should be able to give credit to the others around you. A lot of time we call this having humility. And yes, that's part of it. But another part of it is just being a decent human being and looking out for your career going forward, investing in yourself and the others around you for the career moving forward. But always be looking for those reasons. We're getting really good in our modern age of finding ways and looking for ways to make content, find things that are shareable, to find ways to promote ourselves. Be sure there's a balance in your life where you're doing the opposite, finding ways to make others stand out, finding ways to acknowledge others, finding other ways to make others' day just by reaching out. I can't remember the number of times just because of this mindset where I have reached out to others just to say, hey, this song that you shared, I have been listening to it nonstop. I think it's fantastic. Thank you for sharing. And they reach out to you and tell you how much that meant to them, and especially if you find those people at the wrong time, they're like, hey man, I was thinking about giving this up. I didn't want to do this anymore. And I'm not saying what I want to see, but knowing that I've touched somebody in some way kind of gives me that fire, that fuel to move forward. Those little things. And never forget to thank your parents if they're involved in your life in any way. Thank your loved ones. If you're married, I don't know about you, if you're lucky enough, thank the anchor in your life. Always find a way. I could tell you right now, anything I've ever done, anything I do, everything that I could ever say I've ever accomplished is because of just those people in my life. So find a way, even if it's just reaching out to say thank you to them, That's the same thing. That's giving credit. Make sure you're doing that. Let's go on to the last part we want to talk about, and that's the where and when. So when it comes to the where and when, again, like I said, you need to find any reason to do this. You need to find the right times to do this. But where and when is what makes such a huge difference. And I've got three really good examples I want to go over. The first one, of course, is liners slash notes. And of course, we're kind of exiting the age of full albums. Even EPs are kind of becoming a thing of the past for the most part. Um, but if you're, and especially, making a physical copy of that, your music is becoming even less prevalent anymore. But if you do go out of your way to make some sort of physical medium to share your music with, make sure that whatever the liners are, wherever you're able to write the thank yous and the credits, be very thorough. Find a good place with, don't make it super small font, making sure it's the same as everything else. Thank all the artists that were on there. Thank all the musicians, thank any co-writers, thank your producers, thank your engineers, thank the studio you worked with, anybody that was running and getting you coffee, thank them. This is a great opportunity for them to see their name in print for something they helped you with. The other part is notes, liners and notes. If you're making, music videos or anything that has, notes below or anywhere to write the description kind of thing, this is that time. And I would suggest whatever you make a song, just make yourself a nice little folder in either your computer, wherever you're keeping the files. Make a quick text document, just write down everybody, what they did, who it was, so that you can just copy and paste this when it comes to that. I found that to be such a time saver, and not having to go back through everything and try to figure out who did what, where's their name. If it's just there with the song, you're more likely to copy and paste it and put their name out there, and it really makes a big difference. Another one to talk about here, and of course this one again is going to be personal more so than not, but if you're an producer, if you are an engineer in any way, mixing engineer, mastering engineer, recording engineer, any kind of technical side of music, we have a big thing about our job is getting those credits. The systems over the years have been absolutely just trash, to put it even nicely, for correcting or collecting those credits of the work we've done and put them in one place where people can reference those has been just impossible. But the last couple of years, and especially coming up recently, there's a new site, muso.ai, muso.ai, and there's some great videos on YouTube if you want to go watch those. But they are giving us the opportunity as engineers, producers, musicians to go back and find ways to collect those credits and put them in one place instead of just hoping that one shows up somewhere. There's a great video on YouTube of Colt Caparoon, who is an engineer, and he was talking about he's doing 150, 200 songs a year, and he's got maybe 3-4 credits on most of these sites when it comes down to it, and that's just pathetic. But now if you go, I will share a screenshot of mine so that you can kind of get a reference. But those kind of credits are done through your distributor, of course, is a huge way to get those. And it just depends. The big three are, of course, CD Baby. My favorite is DistroKid or TuneCore. There's so many of them, and they all have different systems and different ways. You can always just make sure if you're putting out a piece of music through your distributor, see if there's a way to thank and who you can actually add on as somebody that was part of this project. My favorite, of course, as I said, was DistroKid, and this is one of my big reasons why I love DistroKid. You can put anybody on there and give them credit. Just for example, you could do, and I have a shot on my phone here of the list that there's a drop menu that you can just pick out. You can get your engineers, anybody that had to do anything with songwriting, anybody that had to do with playing music, anybody that had to do with almost anything, videoing, anything. You can give them credit. Now, the problem with that is that, Spotify, Apple, iTunes and all those, the way we listen to music is really bad about sharing those credits. I think Spotify is trying to get the producers listed finally, but come on. I mean, engineers should be listed. They're doing so much work. They're a big part of that final sound. Just a personal caveat there. But that's a great way to make sure. I've had many artists fantastic artists that knew their music wasn't really going to go anywhere, and they had other projects, other things in life to get to, but it meant a lot to me because they went out of their way to give credit to me as a producer, me as a engineer, or if I did session work, those kind of things. And then when I go to that Muso.ai site and I'm trying to put together my list of credits, it's already there because they did that extra little step, and it really can mean a lot. So just if you have the chance, check whoever your distributor is, go through, see what you can do, what you can add. It might take a little bit of extra time, but go through those extra steps, add those people in. It really can make a big difference. Now, the third one I want to talk about is social media and how to use that. And of course, if you're putting anything up on social media about music, because that's the way that come on, let's be honest. That's how we're telling our fans. That's how we're telling people that our music's about to release. Our next single's about to drop. Our album's coming out. Our next show's coming. We're using social media. But are you going out of your way to thank the people that are a part of that? Because if you're not, as we said in the very beginning, the very first thing I told you is if you want exponential growth, this is how it's done. This is how you make people want to see you succeed. If you're using social media, for example, and you're posting your track that's coming out soon, you better be mentioning who did the artwork that you're sharing right now. You better be thanking, if there was any other musicians, featured artists, any session musicians, you should be thanking them. And of course, you should be tagging them in any way you can. And, even more so, if they're a bigger part of it, find a way to collaborate with them. Instagram has that great thing that almost nobody utilizes enough, and that's, collaboration. You can add them as a collaborator. And then the best part about that is that if you guys made a song together, say, just as an engineer, if somebody tags me, then they get all the people that I follow as other artists. I follow all the bands. I follow all the groups. I follow venues. I follow anybody that has to do with music surrounding me. If you tag me as a collaborator, all those people are now going to see what you're doing. You're going to pass on those positive vibes, that good song, that reason to listen, because you tagged that person, and it goes for, if you're tagging the artwork, if you're tagging the people you worked with, if you tag the musicians, anybody that was a part of that, find a way to be a collaborator with them. And you're going to see that exponential growth because people are going to see that you're somebody that's worth working with. So I just cannot emphasize enough, find a way to share credit with others and of others and what they've done. And if you can make this a routine part of your life, a routine part of the conversations you're having with other musicians, other engineers, other fans, anybody at all, find a way to make it about other people, and you're going to see bigger and better things in your life because you did the right thing and you put your career and that stuff in the forefront versus just you. And believe me, I cannot emphasize it enough. If you're one of those people that really likes to make things about them and it's just me, what am I doing, then that shit gets old real fast. So this is just some friendly advice, and it's really meaningful advice. If you need help going through your distributor and finding a way to share credits, or if you're a producer or an engineer in some way and you're just finding out about Muso.ai and need some help setting up yours and getting your credit for the things you've done so that people can just go to one site and see what you've done, hit us up. We'll be happy to help. So thanks again for watching another episode. We're so happy to have you. Next week is going to be another great episode. We're going to talk about setting up your electronic press kit. And of course, that's a huge step for a lot of people. So check us out for that one. Be sure to subscribe or download or whatever you can do to help us out. Always just a huge win. So thanks again. We'll see you next week. Bye.